Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Vinland Saga. Last time around we had Troll, where we got to see, we get to scratch the surface of who the troll really is. And what a surface it is, a big, manly, muscular surface. This is getting weird. Anyway, but the gang, I say the gang, that's a weird thing to say about Vikings, but I mean, do we count them as Vikings? I mean, I guess Thor's is, but do we count the boys? Nah, they're the boys. But not the boys, because that would be the other Vikings, so they're the boys, with a Y, specifically. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyway, the gang, we're going to call them the gang. The gang set out, and they were going to stop off at this village that Leaf knew about, but the village is pretty much gone, and it was a trap, and they are trapped in with Askeladd and all of his dudes, and so Thor's got his sword and jumped over to their boat and started beating the crap out of them. It's time for him to go to work. And yeah, also Thorfinn is there because he stowed away on the boat, and once they were ambushed, Thor's gave him his dagger. Is it a dagger? I mean, it's pretty big for a dagger, but his short blade? Maybe we can call it a short blade. I don't know the technical terms of blades, so, but gave it to him and said, only use this to defend yourself. So, that was pretty badass. So, see, you know, this is a weird thing. This is still a weird thing where I'm like, I don't know anything about this show, really. Like, I don't know anything about Thor's. But I'm just sitting here like, I feel like he's going to die. You know? I feel like he's going to die. I want to be proven wrong. I want to be proven wrong so badly that Thor's will live through this entire show. But I just feel like that's not going to happen. And so I'm just sitting here worried. I don't know. Maybe I'm more cynical nowadays. You know? Maybe a couple years ago, when I started reactions, I would have been like, oh no, but he's the main character. But now I'm just like, this dude is dead. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting on pins and needles for when this dude actually dies. I just don't want it to happen, so we'll see. We'll see. Like always, the reaction is down in the description and the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. So let's go ahead and jump right into this episode of Vinland Saga. Here we go. I'm not happy about calling it, but just the fact that it was just constantly written, just like, no, he's gonna die. Like, if you read like 3 stories in your life, you'll figure out that Thor's is gonna die. I mean, it's Obi-Wan, it's Aaron's mother, it's Uncle Ben. Spoiler alert, although I think everyone knows in Game of Thrones, but spoiler alert for Game of Thrones, Ned Stark. 4 episodes, though. 4 episodes. That is longer than Aaron's mother, so we'll at least give him that. And he did more than Aaron's mother. I mean, Aaron's mother, there's a whole point to that, and she didn't need to be fighting, although that'd be amazing to watch. They showed a bit of her backstory when she was a waitress. You can't tell me her with her thick thighs wasn't beating the shit out of terrible drunk men, you know? 4 episodes. Feels like longer. I think that's just because I took a break between episode 2 and episode 3 because I stopped for Christmas, so it feels longer because of that, but it's, man, I could have gone on for another 10 episodes with him. Not only does he set up Thorfinn for his journey now, I think this sets up an interesting storyline for Askeladd. Like, that, honestly, I can see something, because that really affected him, I think, you know? The fact that, you know, the fact that he was that good, you know? Even if he's not a true warrior, I think he just respected him as a man, you know? Even though, and he probably thinks to himself, and I mean, I don't think it like bothers him, like, oh, you know, I had to cheat in order to kill him and stuff. Or maybe it does a little bit, you know, that he's not even remotely close to where Thor's is, as strong as he is, but I don't know. It's an interesting thing, you know? It's a really interesting thing that it has sort of affected him, you know? Like, I think he does sort of look at this and is like, damn, that was a true man, you know? I mean, I don't want to get into it, but, like, I feel like probably a talking point of today's society is what is a man, you know? And see, I feel like there would be a lot of people out there that would just look at the fact that Thor's is strong and be like, well, that's a man, you know? And honestly, they would miss the point of Thor's, you know? It's like, yes, he is ridiculously strong, but he is a good man, you know? Why is he different from all of his other Vikings? It's not just that he is stronger, even though he is stronger. But I mean, it's stronger will, you know? Maybe stronger conviction. But he's just such a good person, and Askeladd does recognize that. Even at the end, you know, when Ari tries to kill him, and he's like, oh, you know, you're just a brat. You're, you know, Thor's is 100 times the man you will ever be, you know? And it's an interesting thing, which I like that. I'm glad that there is that kind of depth to Askeladd, and I'm looking forward to seeing more, because he's heavily featured in the intro, so I'm curious to see more of him, you know? And, because, I mean, especially I'm assuming that that's going to be Thorfinn's driving force, is trying to kill him, and where that journey will take him, you know? So, man, this is some interesting stuff, you know? And, I mean, yeah, you know, you can... I don't know, it's such an interesting thing, you know? It's such an interesting thing of... Like, this feels like, you know, just sort of... Especially just this episode, you know, they talk about, you know, what is a real warrior, but it's... Honestly, I look at it like... While there is that, you know, a true warrior... Yeah, and a true warrior doesn't need a sword. A sword is just an extension of the body. But if you are a true warrior, you don't need a sword. You can just use your own hands, you know? I feel like this episode does sort of... I'm kicking shit under my desk. I'm sorry. There we go. I feel like this episode does sort of delve into what does it mean to be a man, you know? And not just, you know... Just not in a, you know, toxic masculinity sort of place, but it's just a, what does it mean to be a true man? And that's a really interesting thing, you know? And there are shows that, you know, there are shows out there that, you know, show you, you know, being a better person, accepting yourself. Mob Psycho is really great for that. I'm very curious if this will sort of dive into that, you know? Not exactly from the same... Obviously not from the same angle as Mob Psycho, obviously. These are two vastly different shows, but that would be really interesting. I'd be really curious to see, like, what... I feel like that's going to be sort of the driving force with this, you know? And it's interesting to see that with this, you know, when you do compare it, you know, because of the trope of the, you know, the parental figure dying... It's the Obi-Wan, it's the Uncle Ben, you know, or, you know, if we're gonna stick to anime, like Carla Yeager in Attack on Titan, you know. But with that, I mean, I don't know, because I don't want to. It's been so long since I watched those early seasons of Attack on Titan, and probably the only reason this is on my mind is because this week I recorded the final 2 episodes, the final season, the final chapter, the final episodes, so. It's just on my mind. And in that, I don't want to go, you know, into it, but it's like, with that, it's like, I don't know, like, at the end of Attack on Titan, I just sort of sat there and I was like, what did we do? You know, what did we accomplish? What journey did Eren go on? You know? And I don't know. And I'm sure you can make arguments, sure, but that's just kind of how I felt. Whereas with this, it's like I see a very clear path in mind, you know? And maybe that is something. And now, granted, you know, at the beginning of Attack on Titan, I don't complain about it. I was just like, okay, you know, you see the path laid before you is that Eren is going to kill the Titans because of what happened to his mother. But I don't know. Like, this one, I feel like lays out so much more clearly the path for Thorfinn, you know? Because he's very conflicted. He's been conflicted in all 4 of these episodes, you know? He's really having difficulties listening to his father, you know, understanding, you know, who his father is, what his father does, what kind of a man his father is, you know? Because what he sees, you know, he sees everything that's superficial, you know? He sees everything that's superficial. His father is strong. His father was a Viking. His father killed people. All of this is superficial. He's not seeing the point of it all, you know? He's not seeing... I don't know. He's not seeing who his father truly is. And that's going to stick with him for a while because he's just going to look at this and be like, well, you know, why is it my father won the duel? Why did he die? You know? And that's going to be difficult for him, you know? Even there, he's looking, you know, in this episode, he was like, oh, you know, just kill him, you know? And at the end here, he's like, oh, I'll kill you all. And just that scream, even the rest of them took note, the scream that he had and the look in his eyes, like, what is this kid, literally a child, going through, you know? And so he's definitely got a journey he's got to go on, you know? And it'll be very interesting to see that. And I like that idea. You know? Is how is Thorfinn going to grow as a man? And can he become a real man like his father, you know? I don't know. We'll have to see. And he's in a very interesting position right now because he escaped. He didn't go with Leif and the other boys. He stowed away on Askeladd's ship, you know? Damn, this is some good shit, man. This is some good shit. And I gotta say, man, I do really enjoy that there's no fantasy element to this at all, you know? Like, and don't get me wrong, I love my fantasy stuff, you know? Like, and even just supernatural stuff, you know, Mob Psycho having psychic powers, you know? Like, again, I guess sort of why there's maybe another reason why I'm thinking of Attack on Titan, other than the fact that I watched it 2 days ago. But with Attack on Titan, that was also kind of a thing of, like, the only real supernatural, fantastical element of it was the Titans. And they always really tried to show the Titans almost scientifically, which I think worked sometimes and sometimes didn't work, of just like, you know, they're giant man-eating monsters, you know, but they don't need it to survive. It's like there's a whole thing about that, but it's not really important. That's not even a criticism of that. But it's just like that's really the only fantastic thing is Titans exist, you know? And eventually you see, you know, people who can become Titans. Like, that's really it, you know? And I mean, I guess there's more, like, a little bit later, but I like here, it's like, no, we don't need any of that. Like, maybe, I guess you could say the Berserker mushroom, but that's a mushroom. I'm sure that exists. I could look that up right now, I'm sure I could look that up right now, you know? Like, I'm sure that was some kind of real thing. Berserker mushroom. Yeah. Viking berserkers may have used henbane to introduce trance-like state. Yeah. Yeah, all of this, you know, just going to Vikings. It's a, you know, known thing about Vikings. So that's not even, that's not even anything mystical, It's a little out of the ordinary, I suppose, because most people don't just down a mushroom and turn into the Hulk, but I don't know. If anything, it's like you could say, well, it's just exaggerated in the animation, but, probably a guy who took this just got really fucking high on shrooms and just went nuts, and just, isn't in his right state of mind and goes into this battle. That's probably just it. Like, there's no fantasy in this at all. And that's really, really interesting. I like that in this, I like that, that there's just such realism in this. Like, it's really, really cool. So, and yeah, and everything else, Thor's, man, was strong AF. I like that. He was just strong. I love they didn't even really show him beating Bjorn when he was on the shroom. He just... I like they put down the things to cross over, and he chucks Bjorn and destroys him. It's like, he's so strong, But, I mean, and see, I don't want to go into power levels, I just don't. I don't want to do that, Because, like, I feel like you could try to figure out power levels. Like, if you use Thor's as a basis, could you figure out Askeladd in terms of his powers? Like, I don't think you need that. What you need to know is Askeladd is really, really strong, and he's really clever, and he's really, crafty. But he would not beat Thor's in a one-on-one, And, yeah, he had to cheat. First off, he used the surroundings, which is not really cheating, but it's not something Thor's would do. So he has to rely on his surroundings until eventually, he just has them, he threatens Thorfinn, and then when Thor's, throws down his sword, all the archers shoot him and kill him, So yeah, it's just... I don't know. So, I mean, it was a really good fight, but yeah. But I don't want to get into power levels or anything like that in terms of these characters. But, man, oh man. We are about to go on a journey, I think. A damn interesting journey with our characters. And I like, again, that it's not just Thorfinn who you can see the story beginning for him. Like, you can see that Askeladd is deeply affected by what happened today, So, really, really good stuff. I am excited, very, very excited to keep going with this series. So yeah, that is basically it. With all of that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of my Vinland Saga reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.